Hello, everyone. Welcome to Impact Over Image. I'm your host, Joseph Kaluba, and today I'm very excited to have one of my good friends. His name is Atitida. You have to make sure that the inflection Atitida is actually well inflected, or else he is gonna correct me. You make sure that I don't hear the end of it. Welcome on the show. Thank you very much, my friend, for joining us.
Thanks, Joseph. It's nice to be here.
Sounds good. So I'll give a little bit of an introduction, of our guest today for the viewers out there. Atitida is based in Texas. He has lived I think, in Idaho as well. That's where we actually met. We were all, when I was doing my undergraduate work, we went to the same university. But the thing that impressed me the most about him is that he has a very holistic approach. He's the man who really loves the health aspect of it. He understands, he's very, very scientific when it comes to the body, how it works, and how the body needs to operate on an optimal level. And he also helps a lot of people live healthy lives and, through exercise, but also nutrition. And we're going to dive deeper a little bit about that, I'm sure, as we go on. Um, but the reason why he's been elected to have, to come on the show on Impact Over Image, it's the impact that he's making, in the community and also to the clients that he has served and many other people through education, making sure that people, when we say education, it's not just about, learning about how we make a living and making a living, meaning money only, but we do forget actually that the most important aspect of our lives is our health. And Ati, that's the reason why we brought him on here. He is an expert, when it comes to making sure that we are living healthy lives. So by way of introduction, originally he came from Nigeria, and he's been here for a while, and he's based in Texas, like I area prefaced. But I'm very, very grateful that he could join us, and then we are going to dive deeper into some of the services that he offers, even to the community, on how we can be able to use them in order for us to better our lives. Um, with that said, Ati, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? That was my introduction, just for the viewers out there.
Well, I think you pretty much gave a good summary about myself, but I'll chip in a few things. Like you said, my United States journey began in 2014, more so 2015. I remember coming into the airport on December the 31st, and I arrived my destination on January the 1st of 2015, and been here ever since. Occasionally traveled back home. My journey in the fitness space began. Let's see here. Give me
I
a
mean,
second.
you were fit. You were fit even when the first time I saw you.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm trying to find the official record. So in 2012 was when I first began to became a fitness coach and just helping clients be fit and achieve their fitness goals. There's a lot of rumors going on in the fitness industry where people are not sure where to start, and so they yeah, you being fit to how much time you spend in the gym. You have to spend so many hours, otherwise you're not going to get there. Or they subtract the food and they say it's just exercise, or they subtract exercise and they say it's just the food. And then people begin to introduce other substances that do not necessarily aid the process, like you're going to take this many pills, it's going to take this many protein shakes. Well, I just had a post on Facebook just the other day where all I had to highlight there was three things: Socrates' words, to make food your medicine and make medicine your food, go to bed early, wake up early, and just have a good amount of rest, and then just move your body. In fact, if all you can do is think and learn to play like a child, I think you're on the path to enjoying a fullness of health. But when you get older, that becomes a challenge, with responsibilities hitting you on all corners. But my goal as a fitness coach has evolved. Originally, as a personal trainer, where you told people, hey, squat this way, bend this way, do this many reps. I still do that on the side, but that's not my emphasis anymore, because on the personal level, people start, they lose motivation, they get there eventually, but there's much more to just the personal setup for success. There's a mindset change which people don't entirely have by themselves, but they have to create it through affiliations with the support system, like their workplace, like their family members, like their church. So I've switched from being that personal trainer, even though I still do that, to creating a platform where people can engage and have conversations about fitness as an organization and hold themselves accountable using that organization. And right now, I'm on that framework to building connections and making sure that people connect on that level first, and then that perhaps they can find their individual strength to make it happen independently. So it's still a work in process, but so far we're making headways, and just excited of what that's going to look like down the line.
That's fantastic. No, I really love what your company also stands for. Active V Tribe. That's the name of the company.
Yeah, it's Act V Tribe. So ACT, there's a V and then tribe. So the V um, represents via. So think about it like you act through the tribe, hence the
I
name.
love that. I love that. I love that. And now with that said, you actually mentioned about mindset. Because in my own view, I think like the mind is the most important thing. I tell people, even my kids, I actually like to say, you know what? When the mind changes, the body will follow. The body goes where the mind dictates where it needs to be at. Now, let's say you are having people sometimes we say, I do remember many years ago, I really keep an active lifestyle as well. Many, many years ago, the first time I lifted weights, it's like, ah, man, I don't like this. This is sore, it makes me ache and all that. I don't like it. To the people out there, what are some of the words that you have for the people out there who may say, this is very difficult. I don't think it's worth it. I would rather choose not to go through the process of extending myself. I don't need to be able to keep that active lifestyle. What are some of the suggestions to break through that mental barrier that you help? If there's anything that you do, I know you cannot necessarily change someone, so to speak, but you can actually influence them. What are some of the key triggers that you use in order for you to be able to help people break that barrier?
Well, the first thing I want to put out there is there's a scientific approach to being healthy. You have to find that approach that works for you, because, I mean, we all know that many roads lead to Rome, right? But
Mhm.
you have to find that scientific approach. My approach will be, or what I have my clients do before they consider working out and setting them up for success is I ask them three questions. Number one, are you sleeping right? Because if you're not sleeping right, you very likely lack the motivation to exercise. And even if you had the motivation to exercise without sleeping right, your body builds a chemical called cortisol. So cortisol interferes with whatever progress you'll be making in the workout space anyway. So why would you want to impact your muscle growth and your metabolism when you're so tired? Whereas all you have to do is just try and fix it. If you don't have the time to sleep, well, that's the hard part, right? People work too hard, they don't have the time to sleep. But I don't think the body was set up that way. Whatever you do, work it out. Change jobs, find something that can help you sleep right. So that's the first approach. If you can sleep right, then I'm able to easily adjust you to the workout process. So let's imagine you sleep right. You've had your first good night of 8 hours of sleep or thereabout. and you feel refreshed, you come to the gym or we get online and we work on your movements. So that's the first step. Secondly, talk to a doctor about your fitness goals as far as him passing you and giving you the go ahead to start working out. Because sometimes people don't know what underlying sicknesses they have and they just want to hop on. Now, sometimes I can access you and know that you are fit to go. Like, I mean, you're a 38-year-old young man, and I'm a 36-year-old young man. I'm going to turn 37 in a few, but with my age, with my body physique, I can look at somebody like me and know, okay, you are mostly good to go. Let's start you small. So if you are somebody who just wants to work out today, that's a self-assessment you can do for yourself. You can think about how you get about your day. Do you sleep right? Do you have high energy levels? Do you get easily fatigued just by walking down the lane? If you answer yes or no to any of these questions, should be a guide on how slow to start. So typically, these are three things I would say. Are you sleeping
Wow.
right? Are you eating right? Are your bowels moving right? You know, or do you have days, weeks worth of faces stored inside that's making you feel so congested? Working out becomes a burden. And and then finally, what have you done in your life that makes you feel capable to do some small things, little steps? Like if you're struggling to leave, if you struggle to park farther away from your house or from the shopping mall's parking lot just so you can walk a few steps to the shopping mall, versus if you feel okay walking all the way to the shopping mall without worrying about the distance, then these are two different mindsets, right? I have a friend who likes to park as close to the shopping mall door as possible because he's afraid to walk a longer distance. But if those small things like going
Mm,
to dump your garbage, getting off your couch and finding that remote versus asking your son to give it to you, if those small things bother you, then you have to switch that mindset first, and then perhaps you can then move into the next level as I'm going to tie my shoes this morning, I'm going to walk a mile, or I'm going to tie my shoes this morning and I'm going to try running a mile. I'm going to try doing a little thing at home like a pull up, a push up. I'm going to try stretching. I mean, we don't have any more excuses to not work out, right? There are a lot of videos that show you how to do it. So if you really want to start, I'll say start small, but the goal should be more so healing the body from the inside out. Your food and small movements repeated over time can create great improvements.
wow, that is so fantastic. I really love the way you actually mentioned about small steps leading to permanent solutions, so to speak. Mentioning even just a remote, something very mundane or very, very, very small. You compound those habits together, and then they kind of just take you to the next stage. Now we're gonna switch a little bit, Ati. How has your journey been? Like let's say, how did you get into this space to begin with? What prompted you for you to be able to get into this space, and also being passionate enough to be able to help as many people as you can, live, the lives that you feel like, yes, this is the way they need to live. Because as humans, actually, you know, um, we are actually created to have that mobility where we are walking and we are active, so to speak. But tell us about your journey. Has it always been this smooth where you just, oh yeah, I'm RT, I just came out and then everything worked out? Can you share with us some of the obstacles that you faced in order for you to get to where you are at, where you say, okay, you can articulate it really well, you've spoken about it really well, but what journey led you there, and what are some of the tough times or things that were in your way that you had to overcome to get to where you are today?
See, I'm smiling because in explaining everything about my journey, I'm going to be giving out a lot of personal information, but I'll do that because there's a lot of, I think it's a lot of benefit this experience will give a lot of people out there.
Mm.
Um, so my earliest exposure to fitness was a personal one. When I was 11 years old. Hold on. No, I think I was younger than that. I think probably when I was 7 years old, I was diagnosed with asthma.
Mm.
And the doctor said when I clocked 11, everything was going to change. I would grow my asthma. What's funny is when I
Mm.
was 11, my asthma got worse. They gave me a list of things to do, like do not do not run much, do not get around dusty places, pollen, dust, fried food, strong perfumes, and whenever or not even indulge in hard work, they say. And so I
Mm.
remember getting to school, and I mean African schools. There was always a labor day where they had you cut the grass or do manual work. And by those days, I would say things like, "I can't work. I have asthma." Now, and I did that for a good chunk of my life from when I got into secondary school. I was probably 9 years old when I got into secondary school. And then I did that until I graduated secondary school. And I remember that through those years in secondary school, I was really weak and feeble because every time I had to work or play sports, I tell people, "Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I have asthma." And they excuse me for the most part.
Mm.
By the time I was done with secondary school, I remember um, joining a soccer team. And for the first time in my life, I was exposed to the fact that people could actually run one lap around the soccer field without stopping. And I thought, is this possible? Even you could run a
Mm.
lap around the soccer field without
Right.
getting tired. And I thought, I want to do this. And so I remember my first lap around the soccer field was probably when I was 16, 17. I should have done this when I was 12, maybe younger, but I never knew what that felt like because I was asthmatic, right? And I just told myself there's something wrong. At 16, 17, despite my asthma, I saw myself running several laps. I think my record at the time was I could run 24 to 30 laps. And
Wow.
then I was able to get on my mission for from a church. And I felt at the time I was at my prime lung capacity. And ever since
Mm.
I had that experience, I thought to myself, there's something about conventional medicine that is limiting. If the doctors, with all their learning, could tell me, do not do this, whereas that's all I really needed to do to heal my lungs from the inside out, then there must be something I should help people change. Now, in the course of my practice as a fitness coach, I don't tell people, hey, if you work out this way, you heal your lungs. That's not within my scope. My scope
Right.
is just to say, hey, work out and do it right.
Right.
And when they do it right, they find the results without me having to say, do this. Now, I can't do that professionally because, that's the doctor's work. My job is just limited to
Mm.
how people use movement and proper exercise routines, to stay fit. And the results, you know, are as big and as bountiful as you can imagine. So that was where my journey began, and I knew I could help change people. Um, I remember because of that setup, where I could do this for myself. Physically, people could tell I was more muscle bound.
Right.
I still think it has a lot more to do with genetics than how much time I spent in the gym. But I was somewhat
Mm-hmm.
muscle bound, and people kept asking, well, "What do you do? How do you get so buff?" And I thought, man,
Mm-hmm.
I'll joke and say it's the shirt, or something else.
Mm-hmm.
But typically, people will join my program, and I'll help them achieve their fitness goals. And I've worked with different categories of people: pregnant women, people who just gave birth, dads with dad bods, young athletes, and the list goes on. Oh, I did that after my mission, and I would just work with people and just help them achieve their goals. And I did that for about 5 years. And then when I came to the United States, I had to come down here to study something entirely different. I don't know if you know what I studied in school: communications with an emphasis in digital marketing. And I loved it because it's something I enjoyed, but that inner voice kept resonating within me to help people. Now, at the time, I couldn't do much.
Mm-hmm.
International student, you can't get a job in that space, nor can you own a business. So I hid under that cloud of, I'm just going to school and get this learning over with. Fast forward to 20, 2019, I was able to do that. As far as immigration laws and my ability to do all the things I couldn't do as an international student, now I could. So in 2019, people began asking me the exact same questions, mostly naturally, and I would share insights and occasionally show people what they need to do. But that was just more as a hobby, not necessarily
Right.
as an earning potential. Um, I've worked in so many spaces where I see people um, get injured on the job. And I thought, I'm seeing this happen all the time. We're getting injured on the job, people starting jobs, skinny, fit, and slender. And just 1 year later, they look like they added 50,
Mm.
100 pounds extra to their lean figure. And there's just something not right. And
Right.
so I've helped people, individuals, evolve from changing what they used to do to what they should be doing. But there's not so much traction in that space because, I mean, it's like a dent in the ocean, or
Mm.
which kind of has rippling effect. However, I've evolved from that space where I'm working with individuals to helping corporate bodies and blue collar entities um, help their employees achieve fitness. And that space is quite intriguing because all you have to do is just meet one decision maker who feels the need to to equip his employees and gain that fitness they need. And if he's on it, and we tell him what our value propositions are, and once they decide that that's something they want to do, we get to work. And so far, we've had two of those conversations, two of those appointments go through where we start working with companies, and the results are exciting.
That's
uh,
fantastic.
exciting. We want to be able to repeal those results across the board and work with bigger organizations who need this help. That way, instead of putting the task of getting fit to that individual, we can learn to grow as a community where these organizations are able to help individuals where they wouldn't necessarily be able to help themselves. So that's our approach, and we're still fine tuning that process without putting a lot of trade secrets out there. All I would say is that we want to be able to scale exponentially in the next year or two, and
Hmm.
a lot of efforts are being put in that direction.
That's fantastic. I really love that. You take the approach of realizing that it's more important to help people, and also you take it to the next level organizationally, right? Because organizations, it's like communities, semi-communities, so to speak, so that you can capture as many people as you can. Um, you actually shared your journey. I really love, the way you mentioned about there was a point in your life when you realized that you are more capable than the limitations that were placed on you. For example, you speak about, you say, wow, people can actually do this. How we are now kind of just diverting, kind of coming out of the exercise piece of it in fitness. Now we're going more on the mindset side of it. It's like, how did that provide a spark for you to be able to grow in other areas of your life when limitations have been placed on you? unspoken or spoken, because limitations, people will tell you, you can't do this, you can't be that. I know you cannot do this. You are, this is a statistics. You cannot be this and that. How did you get to that point where to say, you know what? I may not be, as coming from an affluent background, as you want to call it, but I'm going to make it. This is my path. It's not your path. How did that switch come about?
Well, I'll tell you, it's a journey. It's like learning how to ride a bike,
Hmm.
or better still, it's like a baby learning how to walk. Um, let's use babies for instance. My little boy, like we all know how kids learn how to walk. He started with just crawling, and it's fascinating watching them walk. First they crawl, then they learn to hold things, and then they fall, and they keep trying. And right now, he sprints. He sprints across the floor, and he's proud of himself. And I think that's how my journey was. That journey is still very much on. The goal for me, regardless of my background, is to get to the point where, I mean, at least it should be for all of us, is to get to the point where you can fly and not just run. Because
Hmm.
I mean, the human cycle goes through a lot of stages where we end up being that one entity, that one version of ourselves. There's no duplicate of you. There's no duplicate of me. And so we are blessed with unlimited potential, but we really don't know it except we apply ourselves. But the thing is, we never really give ourselves the opportunity to apply ourselves. I remember when I got into that soccer field for the first time, I never had the opportunity to apply myself. I mean, I watched people play soccer, I played with them, but I never really looked at the endurance implications of playing soccer, which is you should be able to run laps, you should be able to run to the other side and back without being out of breath, and do that consistently for what, 45 minutes and another 45 minutes. I'm not saying, I'm done. No, you should be able to do that. That's what soccer really implies. But not until then, I was used to playing short 15-minute games, getting in and out. But I feel like the key to success, for me at least, is being able to mirror the standard
Hmm.
you're trying to achieve. I mean, if you don't know where you're going, you might as well be going anywhere. If you don't have a standard for what success should be, you might as well just be beating about the bush. So that for me was that mirroring experience. I saw what it was, and I knew what I wanted to be. Now, beyond that stage where you say, okay, there's a long-term implication of success where you don't just think about the daily grind, food, shelter, and clothing. You think about how do you help make the world a better place. I think again that goes into mirroring, and
Hmm.
um, when I mirror what those who've gone before me, mentors and people who've achieved much, either through books, through videos, through stories told, or through personal acquaintance, all I can say is, I think I like what you do. And if I have the chance to ask them, I ask them what they did differently and how I can mirror it. Or better still, I, I research on specific prototypes and see how I can do the exact same thing in my own way. Um, so to answer your story in a summary, I would say the best way that's worked for me is to constantly stay hungry. I don't feel like I've
Hmm.
arrived. I think
Hmm.
if you feel like, if as long as you stay hungry and feel like there's more to do, and you actually put in the work at whatever cost, I mean, still using moral principles, I feel like there's nothing that cannot be achieved, regardless of where you are, who you are, where you live, and what you do. You can achieve your fullest potential. You just have to be able to envision it.
Man, that is such a very powerful thought that you bring up, to always stay hungry. And hunger is, when you look at it from that point of view, um, in other words, it's like you constantly seek to continue to improve because you intend it stops about being only about you. You are thinking about the next generation, for example, your kids. What is what prototype are you setting for them? Not only that, also you begin to start thinking about, how can I be able to, let's say, for example, if you are well fed, it's not just about you and your family. You got to think about, okay, I know how it feels like without actually with lack. What can I do now to be able to look back to the community or to the people around? I don't like to use the word poor. Let's say less fortunate or unfortunate or whatever you want to call it, right? How can I make their circumstances favorable? And that's where for the drive is, in other words, it's like it's a calling, so to speak. You're saying you can't say, hey, I've arrived just because everything is working out for me. You continue to make an impact. You continue to find ways on how you can be able to help as many people as you can with the capacity that you've been blessed with. So I really love that. And I resonate with that a lot as well because the moment we think we've arrived, that's the beginning of our, like our progress to begin to diminish now because you're saying, I am all right, I have food, I have enough, everything is good for me. But you are forgetting that there's a whole lot of people out there who, when you exert yourself, when you expand yourself, you can actually have means in order for you to help others. And which, even in your case, that's exactly what you are doing. You are out there, doing as much as you can to help organizations and employees that work in those organizations, you know, reap the benefits of, living, healthy lives, so to speak. Um, Now, what are some of the things that you've applied from the literary standpoint? What books have you read that you can recommend that, someone can pick up, to be able to read or a video to watch or someone to follow so that they can be able to learn about how they can avoid some of the pitfalls that we fall into, especially the trappings of food. Because I feel like you actually mentioned this, you're saying food is actually the number one medicine.
Mhm.
And if the nutrition is not taken care of, you can spend excessive amount of time at the gym, but the results will be very minimal.
True. Well, you asked that question, and I had to find the exact title of the book I just most recently read, and that book is a little. I got to find the exact title. Give me a second here. All right. So it's not necessarily a business book, but it's a book that points to the mindset of growth and mental
Mm,
stimulation and aspiration within the family circle.
wow.
And I read that book for the first time this year. I've read so many books, but I don't want to put too many books out there.
Yes.
The book is called The Way of the Superior Man. And then it's by David Dida. I don't know if you've read it, but um, that book talks about success from a man's angle. I mean, if you're a father or a son or a brother or a husband, you know there's that constant expectation from you to earn and to provide. Not by your standards, but by the standards of those you take care of. So I don't know what a man's standard for providing for himself is, but that doesn't count. What really counts is what people expect of you, right? Can you meet that expectation? I think about it like your government, right? uh, Kaluba's government, Atitida's government. And the book pretty much talks about how regardless of people's expectations of you and how it hits you from all angles, you can be the man and quote the superior man and find a way to provide and earn and create the most meaningful life that you really want to, not necessarily the one that the world shows you, but the one that's beneficial for you and your family. So that book talks about the loopholes, the tribulations, the setbacks, the concerns that men have on a daily, and how those setbacks, when looked at for so long, could overwhelm the mind and make you unable to concentrate on the things that truly matter. It talks about the family, the wife, the children, your purpose. And I read that book and I felt for the first time that that's probably the most important book I've ever read. So without having to go through other books I've read in the past, I would say find that book. Is called The Way of the Superior Man by David Dida. And maybe that could begin to reignite so many layers of what's being hidden regarding health and wellness, food, and just pretty much everything. I think I would call it the man's manual to the kind of life he craves.
Mm.
That's
Wow, I love that. I will actually look into it and I'll pick it up. I haven't read it. I'll definitely pick it up and read it.
yeah,
Um, I really love that the way you mentioned about having that structural support because the support is more important. We can't build in silos. And you actually mentioned even your company, you know, you have to be active via the tribe. So having the tribe, it's essentially a community, and that community, it's easier and better to scale the health aspect of things when you're working through other people, so to speak, because it's not like you're in it alone. We all need help. And that's another thing as humans, sometimes we think that we can fix everything by ourselves. That's actually not accurate. We rely on each other, in many different aspects of our lives. And now, when we realize that from the health aspect, even the way the approach you're taking, actually, I think that's amazing. It is very, very commendable. And yeah, with that said, just, you know, the top three things that you think that people who may be thinking that they can't achieve their health journey, what are some of the top three things they need to watch? I know you've mentioned this a little bit more in our conversations that we've had, but in summary, what three things, when you are in doubt, you say, "Well, I don't think I can do this." But what are some of the three things that can activate the blocking mindset to say, "Well, I can't do this, but these three things, if I hear them, well, I can begin to get there." I really like the marginal ones that you actually mentioned. Start with small, but from your approach, with all the experience that you have, what are the top three that people can use out there to get to the fitness journey or the health journey or the wellness journey that they need for them to be at?
well, the three things I would say is number one, your mindset.
Mm,
And number two is your accountability.
mm,
And they kind of sound like the same, but they're different.
yes.
Um, but the third one will be your environment. Um, if your mindset is all about, I have to be in the gym to be fit, if your mindset is all about, I don't care what I eat, you know, if your mindset is all about, which kind of ties down to the second thing, which is this is the reason why I cannot work out. I've seen somebody who tells me I cannot work out because my employer wouldn't let me. He has a driving job where he's asked to drive all over the United States, and because he's asked to drive at that pace, he feels if only they would give me an hour to do this, I'll be able to work out. But he's clearly not accountable. So I feel like if you connect accountability with mindset and your environment, those three things will help you switch. The last thing is environment. Um, I know how hard it is to work out if you're not in the right space. I'll give you an instance. Um, if you've ever been in the country part of the United States, you realize that getting to a gym will probably take you 20 minutes drive, right? And most people don't want to drive that far to the gym. Most people enjoy jogging in paved roads, on paved sidewalks rather. But if you're living in the country and jogging means you're jogging in potholes, in bushes, it's another stumbling block for people who ordinarily will want to work out. Now, if that's a concern for people where they have to be in the gym, where they have to run the sidewalk, where they have to purchase a specific equipment kind, then you have to change that environment and make it the kind you want it to be. But in my experience, if you can be accountable to yourself and put the blame on yourself, you're the reason why you're not working out. It's
Mhm.
not your wife or your children or your job. It's you. If you can be
Mhm.
accountable, then you'll be fine. If you can change your mindset and take away those stumbling blocks that's been stopping you from doing that, then you'll be fine. And if you can, once you take away those stumbling blocks, if you can then infuse things in your space that will help you succeed, just like anything else, money, um, relationship, you take away and you add. You take away the bad and you add the good. I think if you can do that on that level consistently, um, not only will you gain muscle mass, but you'll enjoy that clarity of thought, of mind and body that comes with, you know, moving your body around and just feeling the best version of yourself. It's worked for me, and I've seen it work for countless of my clients who have come in thinking that they cannot do it, but just 6 months later, they feel they can conquer the wall. I feel that's where it starts.
Wow, that was beautiful. That was fantastic, and this has been really great. I really definitely appreciate your time and to be able to come on here and you being able to share your experience and expertise because health is the number one priority because sometimes people they look for wealth. They think, oh, actually money is the number one priority, but I say health is the number one priority, because sometimes people work so much whereby they in the pursuit of wealth they forget the health, and
Yeah.
then when they become unhealthy then they try to reverse the roles. Maybe by that time it's already almost like because they're coded heavily, maybe by that time they're trying to change, it's already kind of too late, they've already declined. My friend, it's been an absolute pleasure. I am so happy to have you on, and we are anticipating to actually again have you back on here. We're excited for you, and we want to be able to see you grow. And we know that what you're doing, those are great, impact solutions that you've come up with. The approach and the planning, and also the mindset of using the tribe or the people around you, the community, to live healthy lifestyles is just fascinating. Thank you so much, Ati, and we are glad to have you on.
Thanks, Joseph.
All right, thank you so much.